I'll talk about Taekwondo in Nigeria. You know the name George Ashu. He is the president. On this show, we'll still call him the president of the Taekwondo Federation until the NSC, the National Sports Commission, ratifies that decision by the board members that says they have impeached the president. So that's the story with Taekwondo in Nigeria. Let's quickly introduce George Ashu. George Ashu joins us on the show. Good evening, Grandmaster. Welcome to the show.
How are you, Austin?
All right, I'm doing good. So much has been heard from Saturday till today.
Yeah.
I was with you on Saturday, and you were calm as ever. We had a good, Korean Ambassadors Championship.
That's right.
I like what we did with talent discovery and development. But what really went down at that board meeting?
It's a traditional board meeting. I called the meeting. And we have those meetings, especially during that tournament. 2013, we had a meeting during the Korean Ambassador Championship. 2014, we had. So 2015, I thought it's a very good way to end the year, get together, especially since we have the Minister for Sports, a new Minister for Sports
That's
joining
right.
us. We'll have a quick discussion, and then we will go and do the same thing we did last year with the Minister. And I announced to my members that anytime the PA to the Minister shows up, I will have to take my leave so that I can prepare the venue because the Ambassador will also be coming.
Okay.
And we had a fruitful discussion. All the discussions went well. There were issues raised up. Some needed clarity. Some there couldn't be immediate clarity. Some needed follow-up. Towards the end of the meeting, when I got a call from the PA to the Minister was on the way. I got up. As I already told the board members that I had to leave, and they said I should give them 5 minutes, AOB. Of course, I have to respect my friends, my colleagues. And as soon as I got up, one of the gentlemen said, well, we hear a lot about Taekwondo in the news. We see it on Facebook before we get to know about the events. On the basis of that, and I want to call for a change in leadership. So I said to him that, well, I can't stay here to argue the appropriateness of that activity, that action that he was taking, especially since I already said I was going to go ahead to welcome the Minister, and that such things need to follow due process. So I got up and left. And that was appropriate, considering I had already told them. And then I went to the venue. Within 20 minutes, the Ambassador's representative came, and in a short while, the Minister came. We had an event. The Vice President came and joined us. She sat on that same high table as Vice President. And as far as I'm concerned, they continued the meeting, and there was no way for me to know how it ended. So all I needed to do was wait for somebody to tell me this is how it went, because there's no way to know how it ended.
No, but they're saying that you walked away because you knew that they were going to go with the impeachment.
That's very silly. It's inappropriate. It's immature. I'm a very experienced sports administrator. I've been on the board of judo. And while I was on the board of judo, an impeachment was carried out for a sitting vice president. But even that was challenged, and it was later ratified one way or the other. So you can't just get up and say you want to do an impeachment. You would think I read your mind. I think my board members should have the understanding that when they say a Minister for Sports is coming, it changes the dynamics of everything. He's the head. He's the one that controls all of us. He's our leader. Whatever they wanted to do, the moment the PA to the Minister called, even if they wanted to impeach, they could have just said, okay, you know what, let's adjourn this meeting. There's a precedence for that. In 2013, we had a meeting over 2 days. We met, and it was important. They said, no, we will adjourn. And we met the second day. So then I would have been seated. I would have then be able to say, okay, that point you raised, let me answer to it. That point you raised, and it will be on record. So once it's on record in the minutes of the meeting, it will be my defense. So when the minutes are gathered and sent to the Sports Commission, who has the final say, by the way? The Sports Commission put us together. The Sports Commission inaugurated us. And if the Sports Commission happens to say no, then what will he say about all the things you have already said?
But let's talk about your leadership at the Nigerian Taekwondo Federation. These board members, and especially some of them, they have alleged that you run the federation like it's sole business, like let's say they've tagged you as sole administrator. Is it that you don't carry the board members?
Is it like my friend why you do show the table tennis? I be Solomon Ogba, which one? Because I've heard a lot. when a leader is strong, when he's a leader, especially when you're a martial artist, you know, you call me grandmaster. That's our training. We are trained to be focused and strong and powerful and to be decisive. We are not trained to wishy-washy and be political. Having said that, 70% of our board members are martial artists. 70%. So, so that is not an issue. But you see, that is also a wrong, because the vice president, for example, every tournament we have, she runs it. I don't interfere. She chooses the referees. She organizes the tournament. You know, I only go and do my normal supervisory job to make sure everything is running well. Even this Korean ambassador, she ran it from beginning to end. I handed everything over to her. In the issue of coaching, we have a head of coaching. He decides the coaches. It's only if I feel, because of my own technical experience, that no, let's do this, I give my advice. He decides. All Africa games, I was in a room with him. He said, these are the coaches I select, and I signed. And I handed over to the Secretary General. We were all in the same room. I don't interfere with their job. The way this federation is structured in departmental areas.
Right.
So once you are the head of your department, you run your department. No interference. I don't control money because I'm not a signatory to the account of the federation.
For instance, they've alleged that you organized the collegiate championship single-handedly. You didn't carry the guy that is in charge of the collegiate games along. Other talks.
No. That again is a misconception, misunderstanding. Since the Nigerian Taekwondo Federation has been formed in 1987, inaugurated, there has never been any collegiate anything. It is on record that I was the first tournament director of Nuga Taekwondo in 1990. The medals were handed over to me by Nuga. I was the one that organized that Nuga. And since then, my passion has been in school and university sports. I introduced the concept of collegiate department inside the federation. We nominated the gentleman who became the head because he works in a university. We gave him 5 members. But I told him, I said, there's a gentleman called George Akinola who was the first person to set up Taekwondo in the university in 1977.
All right.
Work with him.
Okay.
And they had a meeting in 2014. After the meeting in 2014, the gentleman came to the meeting, to our board meeting, Oga Austin, and said, I have had an agreement with Mr. Akinola that we're going to run a national collegiate championship.
Okay.
And all of us said, fantastic.
Everyone was in agreement with it?
It was in the board meeting. And George Akinola, being the kind of, I told you, martial artists were, you know, he went back to his university, got the space, and then came back to the secretariat and said he needed equipment. That's normal. All affiliated organs, they paid the affiliation, University of Ife. All affiliated organs have a right to write to the federation to ask for technical support. So he wrote, and the Secretary General brought it, and I said, yes, give them equipment. After all, it was part of the things that was discussed in the board meeting. After that, anything that happens after that, my presumption is that the leader of that department is in charge. It's a presumption I have to have. I lead, I do my job. So if you are the one that brought the information to us, my presumption is you are phoning the person, you are talking to each other. I can't know if you are not communicating. It's only if you complain to me that, excuse me, Mr. President, this man is not carrying me along. But that never happened. I got to the venue of the event and then asked, where is the gentleman in charge? And then they told me that he said he didn't know anything about it. I said, wow. Then I had to call him afterwards. And he said, I'm very bitter, I'm very angry. I said, sorry, sir. Maybe because you are not into Taekwondo. In Taekwondo, you know, you grab your job. The woman in the various heads of other departments, they're in charge. That's right. So my presumption is you're in charge. So my job is to just help and do whatever I need to. So I told them when we had the meeting, I said there's a difference between miscommunication and a desire to take. Why would I want to take over a child? There are 6 championships in a year. Okay, I'll get you talking again. But let's go to Kano, where a board member of the Nigerian Taekwondo Federation, Ado Garko, is standing by to join us on the show. If you can hear us, Ado, good evening and welcome to Sports Tonight.
Good evening.
Okay, fantastic. We're taking a look at the leadership issues going on in the Nigerian Taekwondo Federation. Talk to us about that impeachment process. 6 board members says George Ashiru is no longer the president. What led to that decision?
Honestly, whatever we do as a board, we do it in the interest of all. What I mean by all, I mean the interest of Taekwondo, the interest of this country. And George Ashiru is a friend. Of course, he's not our enemy. We all come representing our various constituencies. And at the same time, we say we need a change of leadership because there's no way Ashiru with the leadership of Ashiru will not take us to the promised land. So that is why we have to do what we did. And like I said, I keep on telling people that we did it in the interest of Taekwondo players, Nigeria in particular. Because many a times you see how he's just like a sole administrator rather than carrying everybody alone. Whatever he wants to do, he discusses personally with the people that are not a board member. He don't engage any of the board members in all the decisions taken. So that is why we said we are not going to allow that to continue. If we allow that to continue, there is no way we can achieve what we want to achieve.